All right, so before I answer your question, I just want to explain there's two different ways to apply for asylum in the United States. The first one is called affirmative asylum, and the other one is called defensive asylum. Affirmative asylum happens completely with USCIS. Once you apply for asylum, you may be waiting 4 or 5 years before you actually get an interview. You are able to renew your work permit during that time that you're waiting. The second one is defensive asylum, which is in front of a judge. When you're in front of USCIS, they are only evaluating you for one form of asylum, but when you go in front of a judge, they are able to evaluate you for multiple different forms of asylum. So now moving on to your question. You have applied for asylum, but now you're married to a U.S. citizen and you want to obtain residency through your citizen spouse. So depending on which form of asylum you're in will dictate exactly what the process is going to be for you, along with how you arrived in the United States. You said here that you arrived illegally. I would say that you arrived without permission or without documents. I don't like that word. And so that means that you are not going to be able to stay in the United States to become a resident. It means you're going to have to return to Mexico. How long you're going to be in Mexico? Well, it depends on your specific immigration history. Generally, as long as there's only been one unlawful entry and you apply for a waiver, then you're only going to be in Mexico for about a month. Now, if you have a more complicated immigration history, then obviously that's very different. Now, the steps that you are going to use to go about this process are going to require you to have an individual consultation to review all of your documentation and ensure that you're not going to have any problems when you come back to the United States or when you attempt to come back to the United States to finish that process for residency. And just very briefly, I'm going to explain applying for residency through a spouse is not always the best option if you have a strong asylum case. If you can get your residency independent of any relationship, that's always going to be the best way to do it. If you don't have a strong asylum case, then you can get residency, obviously, through your spouse, but that is going to require that the relationship remains stable and that you remain married through that process, which can be a lengthy process depending on, your immigration and criminal history. Of course, once again, I recommend a private consultation. I do free consultations. You can use the Calendly link. I'm going to provide that below to schedule your free consultation.